But I like one thing you did say, and that is a metric to measure what they're doing compared to what they say they're doing. Very well said.
Okay, so in my notes, should I say 5% or 3%? Because I'm a note taker.
I would say more 1%.
What? I'm sorry. I got to get a better. I used to call it the legislative budget board face, where you had no reaction. I'm sorry. You just said 5%, then you said, well, in Texas it's 3%. Now you're trying to say it's 1%?
Well, I'm saying for the department, the 5% was a national study of.
Okay, but then you kind of said, well, because of our practices we're 3%, but then you just changed it to 1%. I think you're guessing. I mean, no offense, but I think you're guessing.
No, I would say 1%.
So with deficiencies, it's an interesting question because you would want to say probably not submitting them, but we also, we wouldn't know what is not being submitted. So I think that that's probably the best tool to kind of answer that question beyond the we don't know what we don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Unfortunately, but.
On July 28th, I told the Senate Finance Committee that Texas cannot say what fraud costs because our contract records and our payment records don't connect. But the publicly available payment records do not consistently expose the contract identifier needed to reliably connect those data sets. We publish both ends of the chain without a dependable public key between them. That makes it unnecessarily difficult to connect amendments, payments, deliverables, performance findings, and recoveries across a full contract lifecycle.
One example is the development of a unique identifier for direct care providers like attendants and clinicians. By developing a unique identifier that follows an attendant across programs, patients, and agencies, providers and MCOs can utilize real-time data to act swiftly against fraud, waste, and abuse. Currently, fraudulent activity often goes undetected until after significant payments have been made. Pay and shame.
We definitely agree that every worker, direct service worker, should have a unique identifier. I think it would definitely assist in identifying and becoming alerted to those that have previously possibly committed fraud.
The next day, the Business and Commerce Committee sat for 15 hours, and I watched the same failure happen twice more. First, the grid.
Ghost and phantom loads being given allocation while real projects are kept out. That's wasting real resources on false demand and costing Texas communities real economic development opportunities. On one side, a lack of requisite criteria and inadequate prerequisite criteria in the process is enabling speculators to create false demand in the queue. In the weeks leading up to the July 10th deadline to post the required $50,000 per megawatt securities, and just following the TSP's alerting projects that they were given allocation in batch 0, Compass was personally pitched 14 plus sites totaling over 15 gigawatts by various speculators. These speculators needed us to front dollars in order to meet those security deposits, adding to a combined $790 million in deposits that they did not have the ability to post. On cursory review of these projects, it was apparent that they were not viable. For example, legitimate hyperscale data centers rarely exceed 1.5 megawatts per acre. But many of these projects claim 2 or 4 times that density, basically impossible to construct.
The state's queue could not tell. A regulator put it plainly.
Yeah. I think this issue we're dealing with trying to figure out how much of this load is real and not real has been a new development since we've seen this kind of explosion of interest in data center builds.
We build transmission for demand that may not exist, and the cost is socialized onto everybody's electric bill. Then property rights. 1,300 landowners intervened on one transmission line. 150 made it to the hearing on the merits. 11.5%. Texans testified they were never notified at all.
Kay Hockey, Reth County, and you can count me as property owners that has never received a notice at all from Encore that this was even happening, even though it runs through my place. I'm track number 2629 on link number C3.
We never got any kind of notification at all. On March 26th, we're on the Big Hill line, Bell County, Big Hill. On March 26th, the CCN application was dropped for that line, And they had just picked one line up, H5, picked it up because of a rural airport and dropped it on our back fence. Literally dropped it. No notification. We never heard anything. We never knew anything. We saw it on Facebook. We signed on as interveners, and we were dropped pretty much immediately because we were told that we didn't file our statement of impact, which we had filed with the motion to intervene. We had filed them both. I reached out to them, let them know that we had already filed the statement of impact. They said it didn't fall within the time frame, so we were out with 800 other people. We weren't allowed to participate.
I am saying that the process has been a mess. And with that, I'm just looking forward to hearing from the utilities that are involved in this are good companies, and they're not out to offend property owners or anything. But the process did not work right. The notice issue is particularly problematic. And no one should be knocked off based on, when 800 people, that's just putting form over substance.
Then he asked for solutions. So on July 31st, I sent him one. Every affected tract already has an identifier. Carry it through the entire docket. Require the applicant to file verifiable proof of notice for each tract, what was sent, how, and when, published and machine readable. Give every filer a time-stamped receipt, and do not remove anyone on procedure when the record cannot prove they were noticed or when they hold a receipt. That costs almost nothing. The identifiers exist. The filings are already electronic, and the dockets are already public. It is the same fix I brought to finance because it is the same failure. Texas keeps acting on what is claimed instead of what is verified. And every time we do, the bill lands on somebody who never got a say. Machines can flag anomalies. People investigate and decide. Receipts over rhetoric.